Inside the Triangle, the Decker Truckline Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Triangle. I am your host, Darren Ladley, and today we have some special guests, some drivers, ex-drivers. Elaine, what is your official title? She's a former driver, graduated from a training program. What training program was that?
ICC.
Iowa Central, and then drove for us for how long?
Drove for Decker for 5 years.
5 years, and then moved into the office and decided that truck driving is just too hard for her, and she better get into the office because that's where all the easy living is, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that what all the drivers say? Oh, you work in a drive, you only work 8 to 5. Come on.
Well, my phone rings 24/7.
And on the line, we have Todd Overson. He is our Grand National Champion from...
Grand National Champion.
Hey, to Todd, he is National Grand Champion, okay? All right. Worldwide. I got Grand Champion Todd Overson on with us. And we also have a former trainee, David Naster. Did you come out of school and come here? Or
I did. I came out of, right out of CDL school.
Okay, what school?
I went to CDL America inside of Chicago, about 20 miles west of Chicago.
Oh, my God. Did you hit anything?
I did not.
You did not. Okay.
I waited till I got the Decker.
All right. All right, get him out of here. No. So today we're here to talk about the trainer and the training program. So I wanted to start out a little bit with Elaine because we do need trainers for a lot of these drivers that are coming out of truck driving school. Some that have very limited experience, maybe 3 to 6 months or under, and they need to go out with a trainer. So we're looking for some trainers. So we thought we'd talk to Elaine today on that and some of the trainers and the trainees and see what their experiences are. So Elaine, to start out, how do you become a trainer?
Well, it takes at least, we'd like to see 12 months of driving experience with Decker Truckline, and we'd like to have at least 4 months of the winter driving covered so we can see and progress from there to make sure that you're able to pass on all those good notes and that good information to the new trainees coming out so they can have a better start on their program to come through and become the best drivers that they can.
So, Todd, how long have you been doing it?
I think we've done it twice now, so probably about 3 years with Decker, but altogether 6 or 7 years.
Okay. So, and I know we put a hold on trainers for a while because you were training for quite a while, and then we kind of put a hold on it, and you just started back up again about how long ago?
I think it was about a year ago, wasn't it, Elaine? Year and a half?
We're going on a year and a half.
So what made you decide to become a trainer?
Well, see, I look back at when I went through training, and we had like a 6-week program, but it was always giving back to somebody else, giving to someone else that I was given the opportunity, the learning experience, and passing along and seeing what somebody wants for a goal in their life and to kind of help make that happen. I mean, my trainer was a really big influence on my life in a lot of different ways, and that's kind of what I like to give back to people. I like to see them grow and develop as a driver and do better and challenge themselves and just help someone else out that I was given.
So, yeah, I mean, you got to have that want to be a teacher in order to do this as a trainer. What kind of expectations out of a trainer do you look for, Elaine? For
me, I look for somebody that's got a positive attitude, that if they can't get something across in one form, to back up and look at it with another set of eyes, or just shut yourself down and re-look or revamp it and come at it at a different angle, because no two people learn the same way, and so no two people will teach the same way. So you got to learn to, if you're going to be an instructor, you've got to back up from those people and try to see how they best take in all that information you're trying to give them. Is it pictures? Is it words? Is it doing hands-on? You know, there's a whole bunch of different scenarios that you can come at. And what I look at are for those trainers is I want those trainers to be able to communicate with me. If they're having issues, maybe it's something that I can say, hey, back up, stop, look at it from a different perspective. Try to put yourself into that trainee's shoes and see what they're seeing to make them succeed. So I have to look at an overall, you have to have a really good output. You got to make sure that you can talk to people and know how to get that information across so they can absorb that information and take it in.
Todd, so what kind of trainees typically do you deal with? Do you deal with a certain variety, or do you just take them all on?
I take them all on. It doesn't matter how much experience they are, but sometimes you're, like Elaine just said, you have to find a different way to communicate. Even something as simple as hooking to a trailer, the sequence they were shown at school could be totally different than what you have. So but you get all kinds of experience levels and all types of backgrounds and how they look at things.
So, David, as a trainee, so you came in, were we your first company out of school?
Yes, first trucking company. I spent 30 years with my prior career in retail management.
So what made you want to do this? And what about our training program brought you to Decker?
Well, it's an interesting story, and I'll try to make it quick. When you're a small child and someone always says to you, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer was always, I want to be a truck driver. I want to be a truck driver. I want to be a truck driver. Me too. Yep. And I happened to accidentally fall into retail management and spent most of my working life in that. Pandemic made some changes in my life, and I had a really good customer of mine that was a driver, and he said, you should do it. Just do it. So in a way, I'm kind of living out my childhood dream, so to speak. When I decided to go to CDL school, it was a big decision. With my wife, we spoke it over, and she thought it was a great idea. Of a big change in career. I went from managing 20 people to being by myself in a truck. It was a big switch over because I'm a very outgoing, personable person. But it was the right choice. Once I graduated, I researched 10 different companies before I decided on Decker extensively. I went into and looked at different records of different companies and reviews of different companies. And I always kept coming back to Decker. One of the reasons why is because of their training program. Bryce Bertrand was my recruiter. I finally broke down and after about 2 weeks of research, I filled out the application. As soon as I pushed enter, my phone rang 2 minutes later, and it was Bryce on the other end. Hey, I'm like, wow.
He's like a vulture. I mean, he just swoops in, yes.
I mean, it was amazing to me. He answered all my questions for me. And so from the beginning of this, it's been a positive experience from the very start. Bryce had no pressure on me. He answered all my questions very well. I mean, he's very knowledgeable when it comes to, the company. And it made me feel really comfortable about what the decision I was making. I literally said, let's do it right then and there on the phone with him. And I think a week later, I was in a rental car heading to Fort Dodge. Had no idea where Fort Dodge was.
Yeah. It's the grain capital of America.
Yeah. But, here I am.
So who was your first trainer?
My first trainer would be Elaine.
Okay.
Elaine took me on almost like, a brother.
Yeah.
A son, almost like a family member. And I knew right away that this is the right choice. I've made the right choice.
Was that in the local out there just around the terminal type deal?
Yeah, that was during that first week when they first come to orientation. So I was their classroom instructor. So I started off teaching them on the geotab, teaching them the right setups. We'd go out and work in the yard. So I worked with him all week that first week. And then he went out with an over-the-road trainer after that.
And Todd, it wasn't you though, but when you first get your first trainee, when he first comes out of orientation, what's your first steps you do with a trainee?
Well, it depends what time schedule we're looking at. A lot of times we'll just tour around the parking lot, maybe do a few maneuvers, just to kind of give him a brief assessment on what his driving is, and have the conversation of what his school was like, what he feels that he needed to work on, just to kind of get to know him and his driving, how relaxed he is and his demeanor, and start from there.
So, Dave, who was your first trainer?
My first trainer.
Second trainer, I should say. Okay.
So, Elaine, one of the things Elaine does really well, I think, is she sets up trainers with the correct students. In other words, I don't know how she does it, but she kind of researches, in her mind, and says, I think this person would work great with this trainer because he's got this or that experience. So she set me up with a guy named Jerry Poor. Jerry Poor and I, the second we met, we hit it off. So, Elaine did a phenomenal job of putting us together. The crazy thing is he was also very, very instrumental in my progression in the company and learning and overcoming challenges that I saw on the road. He's got a ton of experience. He's super patient. There were a couple times he had to shake his head with me, but that's to be expected. Whenever I saw Jerry look down at the ground and shake his head, I knew I was, I'm in trouble. But we still speak pretty much every day now still. And it'll be 2 years in June that I've been with Decker. We're like best friends.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure, Todd, you're probably still in contact with your trainees that you've had, aren't you?
Yeah, I have several that, several that I've kind of dropped off with, but I have one from the beginning that, that was 99 that I still speak to.
Wow.
So, Elaine, how do you put a personality together? I know you've got him for the week of orientation and a little bit longer, and you kind of see, he's a bubbly, happy kind of guy, and then you've got a guy who's like me, who's grouchy and doesn't like people. Is there a special test you do, or do you just have that knowledge?
No, it's just, I know a lot of the trainers. I've worked hard with the trainers. We've all been drivers out there together. I get to know them, and I've known them for a long time. So if I know somebody is not as outgoing as Dave and they want a calmer trainer, or somebody that's kind of mellow, I'll go for that scenario. If they're real hyper and they need that hyperness to keep up with them, I'll get one of my trainers that...
Todd,
Roger's another one that's very outgoing. I've got a couple that are really real bubbly and outgoing, and those kind of people I put the bubblies with. And so it's just a matter of getting to know them. I like to just kind of sit back, and I do a lot of listening to what the new guys are saying inside the classroom. And then I'm like, yeah, I can see that these two are going to work together good, because I don't want to put oil and water together. So I always try to make sure that I put them together where there's going to be a little friction so they both learn from each other, because that way my trainers can keep learning. Because the more that they learn, the more people they can train, because then they got that more training under their belt. Okay. So that's how I start it. And if I know it's going to be a struggle for them, and I'm like, just listen to me. Call in if you have problems. I will step you through these processes. If it's you guys are not seeing on the same page, maybe I will go and talk to you, and then I'll go get their side of the story, and then I'll come back to you and I'll give you, okay, try playing it out this way. Say it in a different manner. Don't be bossy about it. Ask them questions instead of giving them a direct order. It's because some people respond different to a question than they do a direct sentence. So if you can get a better response out of a question, turn it into a question and come at it in that form to them. Because then they think, oh, they're asking. They're wanting information from me instead of giving me a direct order, because not everybody works great with direct orders. And then the more that I can teach the trainers to do that, the more that they can teach these new drivers to do that, and that'll make them better drivers, and it'll also make them better people to work with the other people that they have to check in with.
Todd, do you have a system that you follow from the time a driver first gets with you? Or Elaine, do you, either one of you can answer this, is there a system already set up with Decker to okay, the driver comes in, this is what we're going to work on, then we're going to work on this, and we're going to work on that? Is there a train the trainee type program that we follow, or is it up to the trainer?
Well, the program that I have in place now is they'll come in. I have it's a little booklet. It's got some different personalities, and we read up on it. We
orange, green, purple type thing.
Yeah,
yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And so because everybody's got their own color coordination is what that's called. I just try to line them up to the best of my abilities. Have I not hit that all the time? Yeah, I've had to bring them back in and swap out trainers and try somebody else with it. It's going to happen, but I always try to give them the best opportunity that they can and see what they can get across for us.
So I know you, Todd, you're organized. You probably have a guideline book in your truck that they have to fill out and sign when they get in. So what kind of philosophy do you follow when it comes to training that way?
Well, every day is going to be a different event. So you start out with certain things like the pre-trip and your inspection. Let's say he's having issues with your backing, you might hit that more often. Going down the road, you watch how they're, lane control, what they're watching, mirrors and everything. So it really, they start out basic and then just try to keep growing with everything. So even if they're doing great, like John did, my last student, you're still going to try and kind of nitpick him, but you also want to be positive. But I don't really have a set direction I go on a daily basis. It just all varies every week.
So when a student comes in, backing is probably one of our biggest issues. I mean, that's one of the hardest things. Do we have a requirement on backing? I know I've seen a lot of the guys, and I know Todd probably does this, on their downtime, they'll work out here in the parking lot, and they're working on backing in between trailers and stuff like that.
Well, what I work for here is I try to work on we try to set up the setups. Because if you don't have the setup for the back to go right, you're not going to make the back no matter what. We all know that. So if we get in the right setup and then you start using goal, that they will progress and they will get stronger in that area. But they have to remember that they have to keep practicing even when they're done training.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be that bad day, because, I mean, Todd, you probably have a bad day. Darren, I know that you'll have an off day. I know I have off days, and I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with the whole truck and trailer.
Even if we put a target on it.
Right. Yeah. But you just got to teach them, don't give up, go out, take a deep breath, rethink it, start all over from the beginning, and come in and try another setup on it. Don't ever try to force something, is what I would say on that. And keep working. You've got to keep practicing. Practice makes better.
I don't think at any point in a driving career, if you think you know everything and how to make a certain back, there's always going to be a challenge. Even you probably have days of like, this dock I've never been to, or the setup's different, or cars parked in the area that you have to avoid.
Absolutely.
So you're still learning backing no matter how long you've been driving.
So, David, how did you, when you were doing training, how did your trainer work with you on that, and what do you do now?
Well, when I first went out with Jerry, we would be, if we had some downtime, he would go over a lot of the different, one of my hardest parts of backing was learning which way to turn the steering wheel to get the trailer to move in the right direction. And one of the most important things that Jerry told me was, whatever you do, don't ever rush it. He goes, if you got drivers out there rushing you, ignore them. Get out 100 times if you have to. You take your time, because the minute that you rush things, that's when things are going to go haywire. So I really take that to heart. I take my time. I go, real slow. But he would get me in the parking lot, and he would have me. One of the things I did have some issues is because in school we didn't do a ton of backing in between two vehicles in a dock. You've got two long-nosed Pete's parked on either side of you, and you got very little maneuvering space, and you got to put that trailer in there. It gets a little intimidating sometimes, and I deliver to Chicago a lot, so I'm sure Todd will attest to that. Chicago's it's not a lot of fun sometimes.
Yeah, but it's a really good, challenging practice area.
But you're continuously still working on backing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like Todd was saying and Elaine were saying, there's days that you could put it in the slot and go, wow, why was that so easy? And it would be a tough back. And then you get the easiest back, like at a Casey's, where they've got tons of maneuvering space. Takes you 5 times to get back in there. So, I mean, some days you have it, some days you don't. But I think the key to it is just slow and easy.
Well, I've always said patience. If you don't have patience in this business, you're not going to. It's just like Chicago. Yeah. Okay, we all deal with Chicago all the time. In St. Louis, it doesn't matter. It's a big city. It's a big city.
Right.
But I was actually in New York. God, it's been a long time. I was up around Buffalo. That's as close as I got to New York. But if you don't have the patience to just slow down, because drivers out there are getting scary.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And Todd, I know you've seen this. I mean, there's a lot of me probably go, God, I wish I had him as a trainer so I could, what he does is wrong. But you've got to have the patience in anything, whether it's driving through the city, the backing, or dealing with customers. Oh, yeah. It's weird. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the technology. Okay. So you're very new to this. How is this tech in the truck?
I know I hear a lot of complaints. Not a lot. Every so often somebody will complain about it. I actually love it. I think that the technology is fantastic. They're constantly improving on it. It's helped me out tremendously. I do have a backup GPS, and just in case the system goes down, I have that. And I also carry an atlas with me too, so I don't solely depend on my electronics.
Thank you.
for me.
Elaine's giving a thumbs up too. That's Elaine's thumbs up. Yes. Okay.
And I mean, it's the crazy thing is I mean, there was a time many years ago, way before my time, that there was no such thing as electronics, you know, and you know, Elaine, one of the things she told me is she used to take a dry erase marker and she used to write the directions on her passenger window.
I take sticky notes.
Oh yeah.
And I'll write the directions, handwrite my directions, left, right, whatever, and I'll stick it on the dashboard and it's my helpful. Yeah. Todd, what tricks you got?
I pretty much remember where I've been and how to get there. I don't need any tricks on that one anymore.
That's why he's grand champion. Okay. Yes. Okay. So what about living conditions? Okay. Todd, Dave, you guys, two full grown people in the cab of a truck. I can barely handle myself in the cab of a truck, let alone two. How do you coincide together?
I just really, you treat it like it's your home. I mean, some people, that's probably not a good thing, but I treat it as if this is my little condo and I want to keep the area nice, neat, organized, and clean. I want to carry some things with me, some luxuries from home, but I don't want too much, you know, because I don't want to clutter up the cabin because there's not a lot of space to live in. And you do find yourself in there quite a bit, but I like it organized and neat in there, and I try not to eat in truck stops. I eat as much as I can in the truck. I cook, I microwave. That's one of the ways, you know, I've been trying to keep my health going. When it starts to warm up a little bit, this is my excuse. I'm going to introduce a little bit more exercising to the plan.
Mine too. It's too cold to walk right now. I'll go walking. Yeah.
Right now, 17 degrees out. It's not very inviting for exercise.
But when you were a trainee,
yeah, okay.
How did you live with your trainer?
Oh, absolutely. When I was a trainee, one of the most important things I recognized is that was his truck, that was his space, and I respected that wholeheartedly. I would never ever, you know, throw myself into it or treat it as if this was mine in there while I was with him. I had total respect. And, you know, as we got going, you know, he opened up a little bit and he's, you know, kind of gave me a little bit more reins of the area. But one of the things I just know I didn't want to go in there and just treat it as if it was mine, because it wasn't. It was his space. Okay. Be respectful of the trainer, I think. Did
your trainer, and Todd, I don't know, do you do this? So I don't go into truck stops. Okay. I don't spend any money in the truck stop. Did your trainer teach you how to do that? Todd, do you teach drivers how to save money on the road?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I have different ways of cooking, and you know that I can't remember what year they gave us the microwaves, but I mean, right there saved me a ton of money.
Yeah. But
just some people like the fast food places and some don't, but you can only push people to direction that you want so much. So
how do you, when you have a trainee come into your truck, how do you delegate areas in your truck, Todd?
Upper bunk is his, unless of course he's a little heavy. But it's kind of it's a share situation. You know, some people like it a little bit colder, some people like it warm. I just try to make it as comfortable on them as they can, so they're ready to go in the morning, and I just work around it.
So I guess the other aspect of it is the money. Okay, we pay extra to be a trainer.
Yeah.
That's how Todd goes on his missions every year, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yep. So, because Todd is very big into the missions, him and his wife, they do great work. He's a far better man than I am, but the money is nothing to sneeze at. It is very good money.
Well, let's just put it this way. To me, it's not just about the earnings. It's about what you do for someone else. I mean, it is very worthwhile that you put in that effort to earn your pay too. But in the end, to me, it really doesn't matter. I mean, if they wanted to cut our pay for training, I'm fine with that. But I'm still helping someone else, making a difference, and getting to know people from different areas of the country. And I kind of enjoy that.
Like paying it forward.
Yeah. Well, I told you he's a better man than I am because I'm all about the Benjamins. Okay, so
You have that on recording, right? That he's going to do it for free.
yeah,
from now
for
on.
free for now. Yeah.
Well,
No, he said reduced. He didn't say free.
reduced, yes.
He pays it forward all the way around. So what he does make, he pays for it, and as doing his mission work.
Todd is a teacher. Jerry is a
very good
teacher.
teacher.
I mean, it takes a special breed. It takes a special breed to be a truck driver, but it takes a special breed to be a trainer. I'm going to be honest. I tried it long time ago. This was in the 80s. I tried being a trainer. I made it one trainee. That was all I could handle. And I decided I am not that person. So I give all the credit in the world to, they don't pay you enough to do what you guys do. And just like with a trainee, I know you, Todd, when you came, you went to truck driving school, correct?
Yes.
And so all three of you had been to truck driving. I mean, I'd never been to a truck driving school. Okay. I never was a trainee, so I don't know what any of that is like. So I give you, you're one step above me for sure. Just be able to go through that experience and to teach that experience. I give you credit for that, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David, money-wise, how's the money compared to retail?
Well, my wife has a big smile on her face quite often. I don't see a lot of the money. I get an allowance every week, and that's pretty much all I see. If I ever do become a trainer, I'd like for that money to go into a separate account that my wife doesn't know about. So it's going to be called my golfing account. So, yeah, the money is fantastic. I mean, you know, given the opportunity that Decker has given me, it's changed my life quite a bit. I feel like I've worked in my old past career. I probably put 30 extra years on my age because I'm actually only 25.
Holy
No,
crap. Okay.
but I mean, just to say that, you know, the stress level is not there anymore. The finances are fantastic. You know, you do have to have a family that is, you know, very patient and understanding of your career. She backs me. She loves the company, Decker, just from speaking with me and how things have been handled when she's ever had to call or anything like that. Like I said before, from beginning to end, it's been a positive experience for me.
Because I never asked, where do you live?
I live about 20 miles outside Chicago, Aurora, Illinois.
Okay, been there too many
I'm
times.
sure you have, yeah.
So Todd can attest to this. It takes a good woman or a good husband behind you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, if you don't have that support staff behind you, you're not going to make it. It just doesn't exist. You will be out of this business very, very fast.
Yeah.
So what division are you in? Reefer division?
I'm in the fresh meat fleet.
Okay, so you're with me. You're in the fresh meat
Yeah,
fleet. So,
and I've been there since the very beginning.
Okay.
And all my fleet managers have been fantastic. Alexa's now my fleet manager, and she's
don't let it go to her head.
phenomenal. I'm going to name as many great people as I can here. I got the chance.
And Todd, I met his wife. We were at a wedding here of the talkative one, Lisa's, not too long ago, and we had a great time. There were some dang good drivers there. We had an awesome time. Todd, your wife is a heck of a supporter of you. What mission are we working for this year?
I think we're still going to try to do a food truck this year. The mission trip they're doing is August, and that time of year in California, and a little warm for us. So we're going to.
For you?
Yeah, well, when you get down by that ocean, it gets pretty warm. So.
All right, awesome. Elaine, what are you working on? What big things you got going? Are we going back to driving someday?
Maybe. My youngest is in high school this year, and she is graduating in May. So that's what we were working for, and she plans on going off to college. So
yeah. I'm not going to make no secret about this. My stress level from when I left the office, I loved all you guys, but you drove me nuts. But especially Katie. But my stress level had come way down. I only deal with my job, and that's the way I like it. You guys haven't been in this as long as I have. But the changes that have happened, it is so awesome. I mean, so Todd, what's some of your favorite apps, or what do you think has really helped the trucking industry in the last few years to make it easier?
Well, I mean, the Geotab and the, I guess, a lack of the manual transmission has made a change. It was a lot easier for somebody to get into. But just the fact of not doing the paper logs anymore has really changed a lot of things.
Well, I was just talking to Elaine before we started this about e-logs, and I said, you know, that 8-20, 8-2 split, all that 7-3, it used to just befuddle me. And so I love option B on the Geo tab because it does all the thinking for me. I don't have to do nothing. And it just tells me, okay, you can go. You did this. You got this. I mean, I absolutely love it. I agree. It's so much easier. It's so much less stress.
And that's crazy because I go back old school. If I have somebody call me and they're struggling with their hours of service, I'm like, send me a picture of your graph because I need to count.
Your graph.
I need the graph logs so I can count out the hours of service backwards and forwards and tell you what you need to do to make it work.
The only time I've ever filled one out was when she was training us. She made us do one by hand, fill one out. But a quick story about Elaine is she was training us in the truck. We finally got out to the truck and we were doing, she wanted to see what we were experienced in. I looked at her and I said, so if you're really that good, why don't you show us how it's done? And let me tell you what, she hopped right in that driver's seat. She showed us how it was done.
Yeah.
She put that trailer in that dock so quick and make your head spin. So.
And in them old 10 speeds, that's a challenge. Old 10 speed,
And it was.
It was.
But I agree with Todd. Automatics, I know you made a face, Elaine, but trust me, you couldn't pay me to go back to a manual transmission. You couldn't do it. And I've driven 5 and 4s and 6 and 4s and 5s and 3s and 13s and 18s and 10s and 9s and 5s and 7s. I want my 12-speed automatic. Okay, I love it. But the other app, I don't know, what do you guys think of the CAT app?
Love the CAT app. I love the CAT app.
Yep.
One of the things I really love is the Pilot app. Because we utilize Pilot so much, you don't have to get out of your truck. And when you do, you punch in 6 digits. Mm-hmm. And you're pumping fuel and DEF and reefer fuel. So it's nice. You don't have to stand out in the 20-degree weather with 40-mile-an-hour winds blowing through, trying to punch in all your numbers at the pump. Nice.
And the CAT app I love because I'm surprised by how many companies I see out there, and they're fairly good-sized companies. Yeah. Don't utilize that.
That's crazy.
Because it's so simple. You get on there, you don't have to go in, you don't block the traffic everywhere, and most of these, especially, you're in Chicago, and Todd, there was a Pilot up there down off of the north side up there that, it's just packed so hard.
Can't get in it.
Yeah. and if I got to park and try to get in, no thank you.
Forget it.
So, no, electronics is really... I gotta give it up to COVID for one thing. They don't want us in the loading docks anymore and shipping offices, so they do everything by cell phone.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, a lot of it is changing that way.
All right, final words, Elaine. Speak to me. What do we got to do to be a trainer? Who do you want?
I want those that are willing to teach, willing to learn as you're teaching. I want a good attitude, come at it with positive attitude, and I guarantee once you pass that positive on, it will come back in a full fold, and it does. You'll be glad that you did it, and the people that you train will be glad, and you'll have a much better team to work with is how I look at it. The stronger you build your team, the better we are. So if we all work together and build our team strong, then that's what keeps us in that group of being the top 20 of it. So let's keep working. Let's get to number 1 for that top 20. How about that, Decker?
Yeah,
that should be our
2023 best fleet to drive for. 2023 best fleet to drive for. We got it. I know. I saw it. Jesse, we got it. Yes.
Yeah. So
before we go with those, can we ask Todd the question about
Todd? Well, ask him.
What?
Hello, Todd.
Hello.
So we really want to talk about how you navigate being a trainer with all the other career goals that you have. So how attainable it is to still get your monthly bonus, to get driver of the month, to get driver of the year, to get grand champion. Because I think that aspect kind of maybe is why a lot of drivers don't want to join the training program because they don't want to give that stuff up. But you're kind of a good representation of a driver who has those goals and is able to attain those goals while being a trainer.
Okay. So, it's everybody, when you look at what you do for your scorecard, to me, sometimes it's your miles, sometimes it's your idle, but you really got to look at yourself and start from you. What are you doing that could be improved? Maybe leave out earlier on Sunday or not taking how you figure out your home time. But to me, one of the greatest things I have is Marcia. So when you have a good rapport with your dispatcher and you can say, this is what I do, and Marcia doesn't have to question me, when you going to leave, because I leave the same time every week. Out for 2 weeks, sometimes 3, depending. But when your dispatcher works with you and you work with them, the miles still happen. I feel like I'm doing the same thing whether I have a student or I don't have a student. So it still comes back to the same goals that I have of wanting to do well and get to the 1,000-point scorecards. And I really don't have a lot of issues with that. The only times I have an issue is if maybe I take a little bit extra time off or, of course, the vacation months. But no, Marcia treats me very well, and it shows with me with what I want to do to get those 1,000-point scorecards. So it's really not any change. Communication starts everything.
Well, speaking of scorecards, David?
Yeah, I'm usually in the 900s. I have idling issues sometimes, but I'm working on it. It's something I'm working on. I'm trying to get it down there, but everything else usually is spot on. I mean, I'm not late to my appointments. That's one of my high priorities. I think to piggyback on what Todd was saying too is when I was doing the research for the companies that I was looking into going to work for, a lot of them don't train like Decker does. So Decker puts drivers and trainers one-on-one. A lot of companies out there will put the trainee up in the bunk while the trainer's driving and then swap them out.
Basically, they're team driving.
They're basically team driving. And to me, that just does not make any sense to me, because if that trainee has a question or if the trainer sees something that the trainee's doing incorrectly, he can't correct it. So one of the things I loved about Decker is it's a one-on-one. You know, your trainee is sitting next to you. He's your partner, and he is teaching you as it's happening.
And we've had that since back when I was in the office. It was one of the things we stressed, that we don't want – it's not a team operation. I mean, sometimes you may get driven like that because just time restraints, but Elaine can contest. It's the trainer's there to train you. Yeah. Todd, you're there to train him, correct?
Yep.
And I think that probably helps with Todd and his scorecard, because he's there watching and seeing and correcting and doing the things he needs to do instead of, sleeping up in the bunk because he drove all night while his trainee's behind the wheel. I think that's super important.
I agree. Todd, any words of wisdom to any of the drivers out there for this?
For the training?
Yes. Well, just for Decker in general, I want words of wisdom. I mean, well, and I'm not just trying to blow smoke up his ass, okay? Todd is, if we had 500 of Todd's, we'd have, or David's or me or anything like that, we'd have the company that was, but we don't have that. And it's guys like Todd that train people like David that is going to get this company to where it is. Because just like David said, I ran into a gal, I'm not going to name the company anyway, she was having a heck of a time. She couldn't slide her tandem. She had no idea. She was a lease purchase driver. They just put her out in the truck.
Wow.
And they said, well, just drive really slow and careful. And this is a company that's 3 times our size. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I come to find out, because I put her in touch with her, I said, we can put her into the training program. She didn't. She said, no, I can't do it. And she got out of trucking. Oh, wow. I mean, that's where you ruin a potentially good driver.
Yeah, because that's the experience that they are taking away.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Anything, Todd, what do you got for us?
Okay. Put your heart and mind into everything you do. I mean, when you look at the people right here, you get to know Elaine. You know where she's going. You know where her heart is. You know what she tries to do. David says I met him before. I don't remember it, but it's the same thing. When the people that develop into good drivers and good office people, you just talk to them and you can see how much they're trying to make things better, how much their mind and everything that they think about is an improvement and a change. Or it's really nice when you have people that you can talk to. Even in the office, Jeff Donnelly, I enjoy talking to him, and he always gives me a straight answer. So you're always looking to grow, develop, and do better, no matter how many years you've been driving.
Awesome.
See?
That's good.
That's why Todd is who Todd is. David, words of wisdom from a fresh guy.
Words of wisdom is just have a lot of patience. Know that, it's every day is going to be a challenge, and always go at it with a positive attitude. Take care of our customers. That's a big one. I think, we represent Decker when we're out there in Decker's equipment, when we show up, we need to represent the company in a light that the company deserves. They've been around a long time and they have a reputation, a really positive one. I feel extremely prideful driving for Decker. And when I pull into a place, I'm high on the horse. I'm driving a Decker truck. How could it be any better than that,
That translates to no pajama bottoms and Crocs. Anyway.
That's right. No flip-flops.
So my advice to you is keep the shiny side up.
I do have one more question. So if a driver does want to become a trainer or is interested in more information, do they reach out to?
You can reach out to me, Elaine, at 2453 is my extension. You can reach out to Mike Bruns. He's the director over there for training and orientation. And his extension is 2450. Just reach out to even your fleet managers. They can put you in touch, or they can send me a message, and I can reach out to you if you're driving or something and you can't put in the phone number or whatever. I'm always willing to talk to anybody, and I can always see where you're sitting at. And if we need to improve, maybe I can get you those pointers that you need to improve to become that trainer. I never turn down anybody. There's an improvement board, and that we all have to move up it to get there.
An improvement board. Well, how about female trainers?
Female trainers, I would love to have some females come on. I would love to find some flatbed female trainers. That would be awesome. I've got a few out there. I'm working with them. I've got 3 good solid female trainers on the reefer side. It's a battle. It is. I know that this is a field that a lot of women don't work in. We're just finally coming into it and making our crash show, and we're going to give it a positive outfeed.
We need some teeters.
There we go.
What? You know who teeter is, right? No?
I don't.
You don't? Katie, do you? It's Yellowstone. The
TV
show. Yes, okay. The pink-haired gal? Yes. Can't understand a word she's saying. We need teeters, yes. Sorry. I love her on that. Oh, God, that show's awesome. I've been trying to catch back up. But anyway, so anything else that we needed to cover, Katie, since you're the master of...
Is there anything that we left out, Elaine, that you wanted to stress?
No, if anybody has any questions, concerns, reach out to us. We can fill in. And like I said, if you just doesn't come in and you're not quite at that training material, I'll give you the pointers. We'll work you up and get you to that point where we need you to be, and then we'll go from there.
I do have a quick question for you, Elaine, if you don't mind. Is there some type of training for the trainer?
Yes, you come in, and we're going to go through a Train the Trainer course. It usually takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how much time you've got, because a lot of times I'm trying to catch you in between loads and stuff and keep everybody rolling. If you're interested in it and you just still have questions and you want to know what it's about, I have some books that I have put together for Train the Trainer course that you can read through. And it's got some different opportunities in there that you can read and see if it would be something that you'd be interested in. Because not all people are teachers. I understand that. But we all can be. We just got to know how to get it across.
So I did happen to notice, and I don't know if this was a one-off thing, but happened to catch a lease purchase guy. Did we open that to trainers?
Oh, no.
Okay.
If you're a lease purchase or an owner-operator,
I think it was just
right
a
now,
one-off thing. I think he was just helping somebody get somewhere is what it was. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. So.
Yeah, that it's something with insurance.
Yeah.
Right now it's really touch and
Workman's
go.
comp.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Anything else, Katie?
I don't have anything.
You sure?
I think so.
Okay. Teeter?
Stop.
You're a rip guy. I know you're a rip guy.
I know. They're too busy thinking about rip.
Sorry, I'm a Beth. Anyway, if I was going to marry somebody, it'd be Beth. All right, Todd, drive safe. I can't wait to see. I'm going to get some shiny lights on my truck this spring like you. So,
thank you for doing that. I love looking at them all the time. So,
all right, no problem. You earned it. You worth it, and keep it safe. Okay.
Yep. And if David wants to, have Elaine give her my phone number. We'll convince him to be a trainer.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to Inside the Triangle. Don't forget to subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening on. That way you will know when the new episodes drop. And remember, submit your questions to podcast@deckermail.com and you could be featured on one of our upcoming episodes. The best way to do this is to create a voice memo on your smartphone, record your question, and email it to podcast@deckermail.com. Once again, thank you for listening, Stay driven to be the best.